All right, so we are here with Isaiah, and I'm just going to open the floor up to you. Tell me a bit about you.
Yeah, so I currently work in marketing. I'm head of marketing at a management company. But my story goes back a little farther than that. I'm from the Chicagoland area in Illinois. I was born there on the north side in Deerfield. And I don't know, had a normal childhood there until I was about 7. And then we moved to Columbus, Ohio with my dad for a little bit of job change, I guess you could say. And came here, had a little bit of I don't know, childhood started getting a little rougher, just family stuff going on, whatever, figuring out school. I was homeschooled. My mom just had some tough health challenges, so that played into it as well as some other things. And um, I was always a very driven kid, very social kid. It's always out trying to like find kids in the neighborhood, and always loved sports. Didn't find out why I love sports so much until last year, about this time in 2023. I found out I was massively dyslexic, but we didn't know that because we thought I was just colorblind and eye crossed. And so that was something that just kind of like was like a false disguise for what was really under some of my impaired learning things. And what that meant was I always thought I was really dumb in school. I always thought like I can't learn this, whatever. So I kind of became the class clown that loved sports and just kind of goofed around a lot. And eventually got to a point around 13, 14 where I was just like, what is the point of life? Really struggled with some suicide stuff. And I really remember like walking around in the basement wondering like, hey, am I going to keep doing this? Like, or should I just, just peace out basically? And so I decided, hey, I'm going to stick with this. And since I am going to give it all I got and see what happens. And so that was kind of the progressive journey towards where I am now. And yeah, just bought a house last year, published my first book a few years ago, have some other business ventures going on. And yeah, it's been really cool to just see everything I could ever imagine happen, when I'm 20 years old. I 2 years ago, I was like, I didn't think I'd be here till I was 30. And then now it's like, I didn't think I'd be here, period, ever. And so that's been, it's been really, really cool. And just went throughout high school, played sports, culminated in football. I was not allowed to play football my whole career, but my dad said if you want to play when you're 18, you go for it. So senior year, played football. I really liked the quarterback position, but obviously, coming in fresh one season, not knowing the team or football very well in general, I only got up to second string, which is fine, but still got an opportunity to play in college. Didn't take it because I didn't want to just sit on the bench and collect debt, even though I guess that would have been kind of cool. And I figured out a lot of my learning curve. I figured out like how I learned better this past few years. And I was a district manager for a marketing company, finishing up my senior year of high school. Took a gap year because there were still some people that said like, "Hey, you need to go to college. You need to do that. That's very important." A very few amount of people, but some people did say that. Some influential people as well. And I went to Columbus State in high school, but never really went back. It was just not not important, and now it's become very obvious. I mean, like I had salary job offers before I finished high school, but I don't know. There's some part of them just like, hey, maybe I need to go to college to do what I want to do, and now it's become completely irrelevant. I get offered jobs all the time that would blow my friends out of the water, or some of them. Some of my friends are actually going off and doing stuff of their own that, funny enough, have also not decided to go back to college. But
Wow.
yeah, my story.
Wow. That's a lot. Wow. So you ended up in marketing, you said.
Yeah, I was in sales with Cutco Cutlery. That's the one I opened up the marketing district for. And there's really like three core tenets of business, right? You have the sales, you have the marketing, and then you have the product. And Elon Musk really lives this out. But do you know who Alex Hormozy is?
I've heard of him, yes.
Okay, cool. He's someone that's really popped up on the radar. He went from about 300,000 followers to 2.1 million followers in the last year and a half. So he's really made a big jump. But he talks a lot about the differences between those three. And in reality, sales is the least important, marketing is middle, and the product is most important. You can see that with Elon Musk because you don't see Tesla ads all over the place yet. He used to be and is now one of the
Yeah.
richest people on the planet because it's so good. Like, did you see the car that crashed off the cliff in California like last year? So there was this Tesla, right, and it's going a family of 4 inside, goes off the cliff into the ocean, like crashed up on the reef or something like that. The car is completely destroyed, but the family just walks out. Like,
Wow.
all good. And I saw all these people started posting once that post came out. All these other like sub posts came out about people like hitting trees and driving off all sorts of obstacles, and like the car destroyed, but they were all good, and it was pretty interesting. So
Wow. Wow. That's awesome. Yeah, and that's kind of one of the things like I've been dealing with is like I've never really been good with sales. Sales has been my weak point. Um,
yeah,
and so now I'm moving into where it's like I'm trying to get better at marketing, but really where I am, I'm kind of the Elon Musk of what I do. I'm the guy with the ideas and the innovation. That's my niche. That's my thing.
yeah,
And so, when you said that, about, oh, it's the product, that's really what I strive for. Everything's chaotic on the back end. But
yeah,
I strive to have a very good product. And that's why there's so much chaos, is because I'm in a state of constant improvement. I'm very much the innovator, if you will. I like to take something and poke holes into it and try to find the problems and then solve them. But yeah, it's definitely interesting hearing someone else, say, don't about the sales, but about the product. Because so many people, they push sales, 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 sales. You're not good at sales. You're not good at sales. You need to go out there and sell. You need to go out there and market. You need to go out there. And it's like, if you have a good enough product, if what you're offering really does solve your market's needs, they will come to you. Now, I believe you have to do a degree of cold outreach at the start because no one knows who you are. You
right,
have to let people be aware of you. You have to build credibility and get your first few clients and use those for testimonials and statistics to help support why your product is so great for those who've never heard of you before. But that being said, once you get through that initial, first few months of the launch, then there really it is. Does your product, is your product good enough to retain a client? I've looked into pulling on affiliate marketers the last 2 months, and I told them, I said, there's deals out there where people, you'll get 5-10% commission on every project for perpetuity. I go, you're not getting that from me. I go, you're not retaining the sale. I'm retaining the sale, and my product's retaining the sale. I've gotten leads, and I've lost them after a few projects, and that was on me. It wasn't on how good the sale was, because I had the sale. I'm like, but the
right.
product wasn't good enough at the time. So, it definitely was interesting take from you on that one. So you said you played football, you bought a house. What
Yeah, there's
else?
my poster back there.
Oh wow, wow! You got it right there in your office.
Yep.
So you wrote a book. You said that was one of the things that stuck out to me. So
Yeah.
tell us a little bit more about that book.
Yeah. So my first book is called The Teenage Trap, um, and that was something that I had a lot of friends say like, "Hey, you should write a book," which is hilarious, right? Because I'm so dyslexic and struggle with reading and all that. And it was kind of like freshman, sophomore year. They're like, "Hey, like you should really think about writing that." And I was like, I don't know, not really interested. Then I was like, okay, maybe we'll give it a go. Wrote like half a chapter on my computer and kind of left it at that. And then I was taking a friend, excuse me, home from football practice. I think this was like the end of my junior year, and he just, or we were driving down the road, and this truck just goes all the way across through the fence, up on the other side, hits this
Whoa!
SUV. Semi truck hits it. It like flies through the air, lands upside down. The truck flips around on fire, and I was like, "Whoa!" And I like looked at my friend,
Yeah.
sat there, and I was like, "Hey, I'm gonna go see if I can help somebody." So I get out and I like step 1 foot out of the car, and the SUV sparks and blows up right in front of me. And then I run over the truck, right?
Mm-hmm.
It just instant reaction, and so I like wrench open the door. This lady is in there, and her legs like crushed, and there was like a whole court case. I could talk about this for an hour, but this guy came from behind, helped me pull her out, and that took me a while to process. Like it was a lot. Like
Oh
there was a
yeah.
family of car that blew up. Like it was really kind of a gruesome scene. Um, but it really hit me. Like I had this idea that I was a kid, and then I would finish high school. I'd go to college, and then I had this like career kind of like laid
Yeah.
out, and I walked through a bridge off into whatever the perfect ending is. Then it hit me. It's like I don't know. Like I feel like young people can do things, and that life changes a little bit, and there are things that are more possible while we're young. Because like back in Bible times or whatever, like when you were 12, you were an adult.
Yeah.
Like now we have this whole like teenage year thing. So that's why I named it the teenage trap, because it was like a lot of people say like, oh, like the 20s, like the 30s, like that's when you set yourself up for your career, and then in your 40s and your 50s, that's when you start making more money and you can support your kids and like whatever. I just didn't buy into that at all. I just really believe like you could be set in your teenage years to do whatever you wanted,
Yeah.
and like find your gifts and your passions when you're young. Like you don't have to wait for it. You don't have to like fool around. You don't have to do stupid stuff just because
Yeah.
everybody else is doing it. Um, and so I entered the book kind of like talking about cars and chaos. I've been hit 4 times since I got my license, basically every year. And I've been through like a lot of crazy car accidents. Like when I was 2, we got pulled out of a car after my mom hit a semi truck. Still remember that, by the way. But yeah, like just crazy stuff like that. It's kind of what I ended the book talking about. And then go through some topics that I think young people struggle with, like church life, work life, social media, all this stuff that's getting thrown at us. Like, what's our place in that?
Yeah.
Uh, that's kind of what I walk through, and then I kind of tie it all up in a bow. So, yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Wow. Well, if you give me the link of your book there, I'll link it on the post I make as well. Everyone can check it out because that definitely sounds like a must read. And when I started out, I started young. I started with the classic, neighborhood jobs, teaching piano and shoveling snow and raking leaves. And
Yeah, I
I did
shovel
that
a
for
lot of
about a
snow.
year or two, and I was like, no, not doing this. And I'm like, I'm starting a business. So I started a business at 14 or 15 years old.
Nice.
And I've always known I wanted to work on buildings, wanted to work in real estate. And well, how in the world do you get in that industry at this age? And I'm like, I'm going to do design. Well, interior design goes about nowhere when you don't have a car and really anywhere with all a portfolio or, yeah. So I ended up, while I was launching the business, I'm like, well, what I am good at is I'm good at drawing homes on a computer. I'm going to show someone's design project, new construction home, whatever it is, before it's built. And from there, that's where I launched the company. And, fast forward 5 years, here I am today, launching the next best thing in home building, is what I'm kind of calling it. Does just that. But it's more interactive, it's a better product for the end user. It's more catered towards builders now. There's a lot more focus than what I had years ago on my market and who they were and what their problems were. And eventually we're going to be looking at automating things with AI.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
all of
but
that stuff stems from 14, 15 years old. I had this idea. And while I haven't made the money that I set out to make at that time, I started building my career at 14 years old. My client literally right now was my second client. That the computer that sits below my desk was bought with the check they gave me. It's still here. It's the original machine. And here I am again doing a project with them, and the money I get from that project I'm using to upgrade this computer. So it's come full circle. But that being said, I was a freshman in high school when I was doing that. Now I'm a freshman in college. I didn't wait, and I always know I want to work in buildings, and here I am in civil engineering school and all of that good stuff. But I watched everyone basically throw their lives away throughout college, and to a large extent they continue to do that or in high school, and nowadays they continue to do that in college. And I'm not going to sit there and say I was a fully grown and, mature adult and whatnot. You know, definitely have learned and changed a lot in 5 years, and I think I'll continue to in the next 5 years. But I didn't sit there and say, oh, I can't go out and talk to these multi-million-dollar companies. Oh, I can't go out and learn a skill and teach myself how to market it and how to make it, or how to use it to make money. I just went out there and did it. And maybe that was my naivete of I didn't know the real world and I just thought I'm going to make this work, and it did. Or maybe it was just I really had something and I knew I just had to pursue it. And, some days I bounce back and forth on which one it is. But I think that's a really important lesson. I think that's the people these days that are doing really well, whether it's entrepreneurship, whether it's a job, whether it's a mix of both. They're the people that got started early on their passions and started pushing the boundaries and doing more, because everyone's got a degree these days. A degree is not worth what it was worth years ago. It's not really even worth anything unless you have a license with it, in my opinion. But if you have skills, like you can write code, you are a great public speaker, you know how to network, you have all these connections, you're good at marketing, all those soft skills, those unique abilities that you develop on your own outside of the traditional pathway of education or career, that's what's going to make you competitive, because you offer something unique to the table.
Yep, 100%.
So definitely like your perspective there on that. It's refreshing. It's refreshing to see. But so now I want to ask you. I know I told you before we hit record here what I was going to be asking you at the end, but what are the 3 people that you want to get to know? And this could be to further your personal goals, this could be furthering your career goals, this could be furthering business goals, project goals, whatever it is. What types of people would you like to meet?
So you're saying not a specific person, just like the types of people, basically.
The types, if there is a specific person, we can talk after, I may know them, but generally, because also people are watching this, they might say, I like this guy, I've watched this guy talk, I like his story, I like, everything he's got going on. I know the person he's looking for in this category. If you name off, I want to meet, Gordon Ramsay, Elon Musk, and Jeff Bezos. If once you're introduced to them, you're introduced to them. No one can, help you. I can't, I can only produce one person for one name, unless I have the same name, but that probably is what you're looking for. So having a category, I'm like, okay, I know, let's say you're looking for a real estate agent. I know 10 real estate agents. But based on our conversation, what your needs are, I know this one's the best fit for you because they help with X, Y, Z in the real estate process. So that's another reason I do the category as well.
Got it. Okay, cool. Let's see. Yeah, I don't know if I would quite have a name for this category, but like movie production / digital design. There's a couple of different like short movies that I'm looking to put out, and I don't know much about the space. I'm not a technology kid.
I know a guy. I know the perfect person. He's been doing some work for me here pretty soon.
Great, awesome. So that's one that I need. Music industry. I'll just throw out Justin Bieber. Not sure if anyone's gonna know him very well, but I like seeing his struggle. From a young kid that like in his song like "Lonely" with Benny Blanco, where like he got wrecked. Like he got super famous, he had all the money, and he didn't have the relationships. And for me, like that's something that like I'm looking at too. Like in Ecclesiastes, it talks about just how like money's like it's all gonna burn eventually. Like it's all gonna turn into dust. The relationships are the only things that really matter. And I hear him talk about that, and I've thought about that for myself because I want to build the relationships. Because now, like that millions of dollars are starting to fall out of the sky. It seems like I realize like now, as that comes, and maybe billions, we'll see. Hopefully, I have the relationships too, so my life doesn't feel like a void when it's like, oh, I have all this money but nothing else.
Yeah.
So that's one, and I like music in general. My favorite album is probably the Justice album. And then third one, let's see here. I guess since I was big on sports, anyone in sports, I would really like to meet Justin Fields. I don't know if anyone knows him, but that is we're from Chicago, right? So we're Bears fans, and I always thought he was cool. And my dad is not super hopeful of him anymore, but I'd like to meet him. He'd be cool. So.
Yeah, I don't know any. Are the Bears still playing up there?
Or what?
The Bears still playing up there?
In Chicago?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm like, I don't know football really, so I was like, what team's up there again?
Yeah. It's the NFL.
Okay, yeah, so I know a couple people that are interested in football. I don't know if it's that team specifically, but
Well, I
I
mean,
do
he
know
played at
some
Ohio
football
State,
fans.
so
Oh, I know a lot of Ohio State fans, obviously. So yeah, there's a whole. They all come out in a militant way every football season, but yeah. So I'll generalize it a little bit here to make my job a little easier. So you're looking for people interested in music, people interested in football, particularly Ohio State or Chicago Bears. And then the first one, which is slipping my mind, it was a good one too. It was a good one, and I'm forgetting it. Oh, no, the movie, which I have for you automatically.
movie production, yeah.
So I can connect you with that after this. So yeah, so got more work cut out for me here. Want to thank you for coming on today and letting us get to know you a little bit better. And I'm going to be able to put your information out in the post I make with this video attached to it, so everyone can connect with you and follow you, and hopefully, watch you as you continue this amazing journey.
Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate it.
Awesome. Well, we'll see you next week on another episode. All right.